Hey, Coach. See you. Hope you're doing well. Obviously, it's a pretty weird setup we've got going on here. Just a few weeks ago, we were a day away from the SEC tournament. Now we're doing virtual press conferences. What do you think about all this? Obviously staying safe, but, what's your opinion on all this that's going on?
I think, like everybody, from a basketball standpoint, would have liked to finish the season, but also think health and safety is first and foremost. But I think there's a lot of, unfortunately, with the virus, the deaths and the hysteria that it's caused, the loss of jobs, all that is a bad thing. But I think if there's a positive, everybody having an opportunity to be with their families, strengthen relationships in your household or renew them, so to speak. Because since I've been doing this in the profession, I got in 2000, and it's been going 90 miles an hour since 2000. And in our sport, you kind of have to make your vacation times, just to have the opportunity to be with family. And it's been great for me just to be around my children, my son, my wife. So that part has been good. But I also think it's a case of we're learning something new. How can we, as we move forward, like, for example, I'm not sure there'll be, when you look at schools, because my children are obviously online classes right now, I'm not sure if there'll be any more snow days, because now we can do it virtually. So you don't have to be in the classroom. Snow days, we'll do it at home. We don't skip a beat there. So I just think there are a lot of positives that we need to come out of this. And I think the other thing, like I talk to our players about, and I'm always talking to them about this part, is who will be the next CEO, who will be the next millionaire and billionaire. What I mean by that somebody will be very successful because of this. There are opportunities. So are you really thinking, or you pushing forward different medicines or different ways to help the elderly because of this? So, and I just really try to get our guys to focus on those type of things, because somebody will become successful and ultimately, hopefully, create jobs for other people. So again, scary times, real times, unfortunate times. And the thing, like I say to our players all the time, for young guys, somehow the perception was it couldn't happen or harm young adults. And so, like I said to our guys, if you're out playing 5-on-5, you have to be very careful. Because I know if I was 18 or 22 years old, I would have probably been in somebody's gym and something drastic had to happen, or my mom had to find out. So I think our guys need to understand the importance of this is real life. It's one thing to work on your own or work with your trainer, but you have to be very careful. So again, a lot of learning lessons, and hopefully not painful lessons.
Mick, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, thanks for doing it. Mick Schaefer, 41 Action News. I'm curious about recruits who haven't committed yet, whether they're seniors now or going into their senior year, guys that will be playing basketball now or in the summer that potentially might not be. Are those guys greatly affected by this, or is there enough tape, enough recruiting been done on those guys to where it's not going to have that big of an impact?
Well, I think the hard part, like everybody, when you're talking junior college guys, teams, everybody's in a conference tournament, so it stops there. But I think with high school players, especially the ones, McDonald All-Americans, Jordan Brand All-Americans, Under Armour All-Americans, those type of guys, that's a tremendous opportunity that you grew up watching that game, and to be a part of it, even be selected. Now you're not able to play in that game. So that's probably a downer for those guys. But I think for everybody, it's still basketball, but it's one-on-one basketball as they continue to improve. And then as far as the recruiting process, I think most guys, in a lot of those cases, are already in the ballpark of what schools that they like, So, and I think the tough part is if you haven't visited that particular school, now how does that work? Like, for example, I'm shooting a video at noon, and I might be the only one in there shooting it myself, just on a virtual video of our program, campus, and all that sort of thing. So, it'll be different for me, but I'm looking forward to it.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Hey, Cuonzo, I have sort of a two-parter for you. First of all, you mentioned, guys not maybe being able to play 5-on-5 right now, just with the amount of interaction that kind of occurs there. First of all, just what are you kind of been able to ask guys to do to sort of stay in shape right now? And also, do you know yet if you all will be able to have players on campus for summer workouts, since the zoo is going to online classes only over the summer?
Good question. As far as we don't know yet about the workouts in the summer, but of course the classes are canceled, but we don't know about the workouts just yet. And we just had a Zoom call with our guys the other day, and that was one of the biggest questions, or the main question that those guys asked about. Because I said there's a possibility that we won't have summer session. And that was the next thing that they asked, well, will we still be able to work out? So that part will be tough, because the one thing about players, though we don't like to admit it, but we all crave the discipline and the structure of the day-to-day workouts and the regimen. So now you're talking about guys having the accountability amongst themselves to be able to do that on an everyday basis, which is a hard thing to do. Now, you had a two-part question. Did I answer the other part?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, Coach. Hope you and the family are doing well. I know you said on the Tuesday before you went to Nashville that it's life stuff is going to take care of all of this. From your perspective, when the tournament kind of went from, okay, we're playing without fans to now we're not playing at all, how did it kind of go from your perspective of telling the team and all of that?
Well, I have to admit, I watch news when I have to. So I didn't have a lot of information on the virus outside of, what I heard or just snippets of it on the news. So I didn't understand the magnitude of it. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, well, especially when they said we're going to keep the fans out unless it's close family and staff members, then I'm sitting there thinking like, well, we're still humans as players and coaches. So I would assume it could affect us unless you're just a supreme athlete and it won't affect you. And I wasn't one of those guys, but that part I didn't understand because I didn't have a lot of information about the virus. So that was my biggest concern. And that Thursday morning, I think Mike Kelly and we were talking about, like, do you think they should play games? And that was the one thing I said. I said, I just don't understand how you can remove fans, but the players are still playing a game and they're interacting and they're making contact with each other. And you still have it. And it, again, like I assumed that it wouldn't affect younger adults, meaning players. Well, you still have officials on the floor. You have coaches out there coaching. So that was my biggest question mark, and I'm happy they made the decision that they made.
Go ahead, Gabe.
Yeah, Cuonzo, a week or two ago, I guess they made the decision not to give winter athletes that had competed most of their year another year. I mean, what was your opinion on kind of whether kids should have gotten another chance or not?
I agree with it. And again, I said it, somebody might ask me that question, but I said I would have loved to coach Reed again. I would have loved that. High character, all those things. And like Kobe Brown, for example, said he learned a lot from Reed because they were roommates on the road. So just the maturity of Reed and stuff that he learned from Reed. So I would have loved to have him back for another year. But the truth of the matter, in most cases, you probably had maybe 15, 20 teams that was going to play 4 more games. Outside maybe 7 conference tournament and all that. And it's not as if there was 20 plus games lost in the season, So no, and then, you look at it from a revenue standpoint at winter sports, we already played a lot of games. Financially, how does that burden impact the universities and campuses? I think you always have to look at those things. But I just felt like from the standpoint of we didn't lose a lot. Again, that's the most important time of year. You're talking NCAA tournament, conference tournament time. It's a valuable time, a fun time for everybody. But I didn't think we should have renewed it. No.
Go ahead, Colin.
Hey, Coach. I know you talked about recruiting a little bit, but I was just curious how your son Chase fits in all this and what this has been like for him.
We work out. We more him. I'm kind of a rebounder. But we have a goal out in front of the house that he does his drill. He has a tremendous level of discipline and focus. So he does his workouts out there. And again, like I said, I go get the rebounds, especially when the ball might bounce over and I got to go chase it down. So depending on where he's shooting threes, I got to be a great rebounder. And with a bad shoulder, that can be tough. But no, it's but he's okay. He's waiting around to decide what he's going to do. And it's a fun time for him, a little anxiety, not in a negative way, but just what he wants to do next.
Cayman, you're up.
Coach, I know you guys aren't able to get in the gym, but in terms of with the guys and what you're doing, are they able to get shots up some way? Because I know some guys may have a goal, but some guys don't. And also, what's that kind of conversation been like? Because you've always been, this is about life. have you kind of told them that, at the moment we just gotta, there's more going on than just basketball?
Well, I think for basketball players, and I think on another level for coaches, this is a tremendous time where you can outwork the competition. And if you're a basketball player, the discipline, like Coach Nick send those guys workout plan as much as, what he does with each individual guy. Let me see what you have in your house. Now, most guys don't have weights in their household, but what do you have so we can work with? Like you might do step-ups on the steps in your house. So what do you have to work with? And once Coach Nick finds that out, then he implements the workout for each individual players. Now, some guys have access to weight rooms. Some guys have some small things in their household. Like, for example, Kobe Brown ordered some stuff off online to help in his workout, and he's done a tremendous job with his body just from the end of the season up until now. So that's the biggest key to that. But I think the other part, as far as working out, some guys do have access to real gyms, but they're going in a situation where it's one-on-one, hopefully, or they're going to the gym by themselves. And some guys shoot outside. And the one thing I always say to the guys, try to do as much ball handling as possible, because you can get an old rubber ball. You can go outside. You can always handle a basketball. If you don't have access to a gym, you can always dribble a basketball. So push-ups, sit-ups, and being able to dribble basketball. That's what I talk about all the time. Now, again, some guys have a little bit more than others, but nobody's able to get into Mizzou Arena, not at all.
Sweetie, you're up.
Hey, Cuonzo. I was just wondering what kind of the process was like with the three who was going through the NBA draft process, and kind of a two-parter as well myself. I was wondering if you'd heard anything about any changes or anything going forward with the process, just because NBA doesn't really know what they're doing yet with the season and postseason and all that kind of stuff.
Well, the first thing as far as changes, I know that between the NCAA and we kind of get it from the SEC, and I'm on the men's basketball oversight committee as well, the NABC. So there are constant talks with the NBA about what's the next thing. So there's nothing in stone as of right now. No changes have been made, maybe pushing the date back as far as getting your information in. But other than that, no real changes as far as workouts or when the draft will be made. So none of that as of right now. As far as those three guys, I think the way X especially finished down the stretch, I think it's a really good idea for him. Because the one thing, even in going into the season, I talked to X about, we always talk to guys, one or two players that you like, you want to learn from, you want to mimic games. And one of the names I brought up with X is Ja Morant. Because X is, a young guy for his age. Some guys are, you're too old for the age, red shirt and all that. But X is a young guy for his age. He's an athlete, similar frames. So there's a lot of growth in his game. So in a guy like that, to have those opportunities, I think it'll be great, especially when he's able to get into those camps and showcase some things. But I think the biggest key for him, like we talk about all the time, is his strength. Now, he doesn't really have access to a weight room at the level, but I think that's very important if he can get as strong as he can get right now. With Jeremiah, wanted him to really do it, and he wanted to do it himself, just, again, to feel it. And with Mitch, I thought he did a great job down the stretch of rebounding. I always felt like he had a desire to play defense and play hard. But for Mitch, it was one of those deals I felt like this is something I think you need to do it or to experience. And he was really excited about that, and obviously in communication with his dad and doing that. And I think it'll be great for him, because I do feel like he's a guy, as he continues to strengthen his lower body, I think he'll have a chance. And as his confidence continues to grow offensively on some different things that we've talked about, I think it'll really help him. But I think with all three of those guys, of course, put your best foot forward. But to be able to sharpen your tools up against experienced guys, working out with other guys. And oftentimes you come back from the knowledge you get from those NBA coaches that work you out, but also going against the other guys, you get a chance to come back and say, okay, now I see what coach is talking about, or I can use this, they can help my game, and I can help my teammates with this. So there's always a lot of valuable lessons in going against other talented players, but also being amongst professional coaches.
Dave, you're up.
Hey, Cuonzo, when you're trying to sell the program to recruits and you can't have them on campus, how do you go about the kind of the virtual process of showing them what you guys are all about, facilities and everything?
Well, the one thing that we started doing is doing FaceTime. Not like when I talk to our guys, I mean, there's always a call, a text, and I mass text our players every day, whether it's plays that we had during the season, ups, downs, highs, and low, whatever. We talk about life stuff, and we have different guys respond via that text, so we all can see it. But I would say probably 2 weeks ago is when I really started FaceTime. And I've never did FaceTime outside of, my wife, my daughter, something like that. But I started doing the FaceTime, and I like, in most cases, when I'm out walking, I'll do the FaceTime. And I think it's cool, but, not like you're trying to catch guys off guard, but it just, I think it's a good way. But that's the way you communicate with recruits. So now they can get a good feel for you. Like I recruited one guy, and I had my shades on him. They were $10 shades. I don't know if he's laughing because they look cheap, or I don't know, but but he got a kick out of it. He liked it, but it was a different side. And I didn't realize I had him on. Just, was talking to him as I was walking. But I think as players, they get a different feel for you. And then, like for me, I'm different when you see me outside of my element. When most people see me, I'm a different guy. So I assume that my demeanor when I coach, and then when you see me off the court.
Wilson, you're up.
Hi, Coach. You touched on this a little bit in that last question. Was what kind of contact, how frequent is your contact with your players right now?
So what we do amongst our staff, so all our staff guys, so somebody is calling and texting a guy every day. Now, again, it's not so much as to get on their nerves, so to speak. It's just relationships. How you doing? How's the family doing? How you doing? Are you staying out of trouble? Make sure all those things from an academic standpoint, make sure you finish strong, because that's a hard part. I mean, I think I like to think I had a level of discipline as a young player, but I think it would be really hard for me to be away from campus, away from the academic assistants and the tutors, to have that discipline, especially from a classroom standpoint. I would do the things on the floor, but to be away from campus this kind of time and to do Zoom tutoring sessions, man, that would be hard. So that's one of the biggest things that we're on our guys about. Make sure you follow up. And those guys are good about doing what they're supposed to do, but it might be, hey, man, you want to wake up, because really some of those guys up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning playing video games because they don't really have to get up in the morning because it's online, so they can do what they need to do. So sometimes we might say, man, you need to get up or get up early, whatever that is. But each staff member has 2 guys from an academic standpoint, so he knows that. But as well as Tammy Chiefs, who does a tremendous job at her team, so everybody's on board and making sure our guys get what they're supposed to do. So that would be the hardest part, I think, for me as a coach right now, making sure those guys stay on the classroom piece. And did I answer that? Because sometimes I get to going and I might have missed something.
Natalie, do you have another question?
No, I didn't.
Natalie moved on us.
Gabe has another one, I believe.
Cuonzo, I don't think we've talked to you since the end of the year. What were your conversations like with Trey, and did that alter kind of what you guys have to do in the offseason recruiting wise?
Not at all. Again, I like Trey. We didn't want Trey to leave without a doubt. I think Trey did what's best for him, because I think what happens, every guy wants to play, and you have to respect that as a coach. So I think in recruiting, when you're recruiting guys, I think when freshmen come in, there has to be an opportunity to play right away, to be able to play right away and be successful. Now, whether they're starting or coming off the bench, but have an opportunity to play right away and be successful. And I just think that's the way it is. And I think, as coaches, you have to come to grips with it doesn't matter what a young man might need to work on, what he needs to improve on, or what he needs to get better, all those things. Every player wants to play, unless there's an understanding up front that this kid a red shirt because he needs to get stronger. But if that's not the case, then you almost have to recruit guys like they're playing from day one, because no player in their mind feel like, well, I know I'm not good enough, so I won't play. No player really feels that way. I knew, and I felt like when I went to Purdue, I had an opportunity to be a starter. With those first 14, 15 games, it didn't say that. So you have to continue to fight, continue to battle, but you have to respect, each young guy's decision, because I think that's the culture that we live in nowadays. When you look around the country, you got guys that leading scores on teams that are leaving teams. And I think that's just the way it is. But I think when you're talking about freshmen, they have to have opportunities to play from day one, or here's the plan. I think you need to redshirt, and everybody's on the same page. But if not, then you'll be looking at a lot of this, and it'll be rare that a young guy sticks around if he's not playing.
Mitch, you had another one?
Yeah, Cuonzo, just kind of reflecting back on this past season, I know something that was obviously a bit of an issue for you all was shooting. You had a few players shoot kind of below their career averages and what they had shot the past season. Was that something that kind of caught you all off guard? And did you feel like kind of as the season went on, you had to kind of get creative to overcome that?
I really did. I mean, there are a lot of things that you go into a season that you think, what happened? Okay, guys, here's something we need to be concerned with. Let's try to correct this because this will come to a head at some point. But shooting wasn't one of the things that I thought that we would struggle with. Now, did the line move back? Yes, but I thought we would be better shooting the basketball, especially, leading up to that point, guys making shots in practice. So I think the biggest thing that really helped us, and I think it'll be great for us moving forward, just the offense in which we run our, secondary offense, what we call Barcelona. And I thought our guys did a great job, especially Drew getting downhill, guys slipping ball screen, reading the defense. I thought the guys did a tremendous job with that. So you're getting the downhill action, but we had a lot of, we look at the numbers, we had a lot of missed threes from the corners. We had a lot of them because with that offense, a lot of your shots, a lot of your drives would come from the corners, or your threes would come from the corners. And we didn't capitalize in the department. So again, some of the guys that get most shots in that area, those are some of the things that we talk to those guys about working on as we speak. But no, I would have never thought, especially the way we shoot free throws. I mean, I thought that was impressive. But yeah, 3-point shoot. I thought 3-point shooting again, as we go back and watch film, 3-point shooting, driving the basketball. And I thought we got better at it, but I think we still have 2 or 3 guys I think can be great at it. But driving the basketball, 3-point shooting, and when you're driving, really finishing at the rim, I thought that was a big one as well.
Eric, you had another question?
Yeah, I do. I know specific information probably isn't something you want to release, Cuonzo, but do you know anybody who's been impacted by coronavirus? And what is your current kind of role, do you think, in these current times where face-to-face contact isn't allowed?
Well, I think, I don't know anybody it was some scares here and there, people I grew up with and that sort of thing. But I shouldn't say that. There's, and again, I don't say this, I'm just giving you information, but, and I'd rather you guys not write it, but my agent, he lost his mom and dad 6 minutes apart. 6 minutes apart, which is, and he's also a guy that was a manager at Purdue. So he's a guy we grew up together, been knowing each other since we was probably 20 years old. So that was tough. But outside of that, not really. Family members know, friends that I grew up, 1 or 2 that I grew up with, but they're fine. People that I grew up with in East St. Louis, I knew them, but from a distance. 1 or 2 guys lost their lives. So it's real. But when it comes to this, like we tell our players, you have to be coachable and you have to listen. So it means sitting down, sit in the house, sit down, sit in the house, and that's it. But what I talk about is health and safety all the time. Like my oldest son, he went back to school because he just wanted to finish out there, graduates in May, so he went back to school. I want him to stay here with us, but I mean, I guess when you're 22, I mean, you want to do his own thing. So I just, again, man, make sure you're doing the right things because somehow that those young minds, and I say young minds in a positive way, meaning years, that they think, okay, I'm invincible, it won't happen to me, but hey, this is real, and I don't want him to be an example, but I think he's making sound decisions.
Colin, you had another question?
Yeah, Coach. I know the transferring kind of cuts 2 ways, and you've had some success with the grad transfer. Just what do you like about the potential of getting guys that have 2, 3, even 4 years of experience added to your program?
I like it a lot. I do like it a lot. I really do. Just because, one, they battle tested, they've been through whatever the ups and downs and highs and lows, and now they've seen a lot. Oftentimes when guys transfer, I don't necessarily think transferring is every case is a bad case. Sometimes it was that first location to help that person grow up and understand certain things, because there's always, like me, I always look in the mirror after every game, every season. You look in the mirror, you take notes, you write sometimes tough, painful lessons, whatever. I mean, that's part of your growth. I think same for young guys. It's part of their growth to take some of those pain, tough lessons. So I think when you're talking grad transfers, junior college guys, all those guys, they've been around the block, so to speak, and it's like, okay, I got it now. So they've seen it. They've probably been around, and nowadays from the time of ninth grade up until their grad transfer or junior college guy, they've probably been with at least 3 to 6 different coaches, and that's high school, junior college, AAU. So they've been 3 to 6 different people. So at some point you get to a point where you say, okay, I got it, let's go, let's get better. And I think that's the growth of it. But because the transition is oftentimes, once you get to know each other, it's a smooth one. Because then at that point, it just simply becomes basketball. All the other stuff is out of the way.
Does anybody have any other questions? All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys.